Welcome back to the deep dive. You give us the source material, we give you the inside scoop. Today we're heading over, virtually speaking, to Paris, Sorbonne Université.
That's right.
We're looking at how they're tackling student health and, crucially, how that links to academic success. Their medical director, Dr. Françoise Guillot-Benares, actually calls it a pillar for your success.
Yeah, and that's a really important framing, isn't it? It shifts the whole conversation. It's not just about, ticking a box for student health. It's foundational.
Exactly. So our mission today is to really unpack the free health resource they offer, see what this kind of integrated system actually looks like on the ground.
And get you the key details quickly.
Okay, so first impressions from the sources, it seems broad. We're talking medical consults, preventive stuff, sexual health, even psychiatry. All free.
All free for students, yeah. That breadth is definitely striking right away. It signals a serious investment.
So let's dive into the core services first. Medical and psychological. What's the access like?
Well, that's a key point. For psychological care, you can get consultations, sometimes even without an appointment, which is huge. And the critical part, follow-up is available throughout the academic year.
Ah, so it's not just a one-off session.
Exactly. It's sustained support if you need it. That continuity is vital for mental health care.
Okay, and then there's the practical day-to-day stuff. I saw something about walk-in nursing services.
Yes. Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 a.m. You can just walk in for nursing care, health advice.
Which is super convenient for students juggling classes.
Absolutely essential. And they specifically mentioned this is key, providing contraception d'urgence, emergency contraception, right there on the spot.
Wow, okay. So immediate access for urgent needs, no appointment needed. That really lowers the barrier for seeking help, I imagine.
Definitely. It removes that hesitation factor for sensitive or urgent situations.
So that covers the immediate needs.
Yeah.
But you mentioned preventive care earlier. The sources seem to highlight that quite a bit.
Mm.
How do they try to, get ahead of problems?
They're big on transition points. So every single first-year student, and also any student newly arriving in France, gets what they call a priority health interview, an entretien de santé prioritaire.
A priority health interview. What does that involve? Is it just a form?
No, it sounds more involved, like a proper check-in. The goal is to spot potential difficulties, academic, personal adaptation issues right at the start, especially for those new arrivals facing, culture shock or navigating a new system.
So it's proactive, trying to loop them into support before a crisis hits.
Precisely. It's about early identification and connection to resources.
Beyond that general check-in, they also have more specialized consultations by appointment, right? Things like nutrition, sports medicine.
Yep. Nutrition, sport, and health and psychiatry consultations are all available by appointment. That provides the deeper, specialized layer of care.
Okay, so that's the standard structure. But you hinted there were some more unique offerings. What were those unexpected gems you found?
Right. There are a couple of things that really stood out. First, for students needing academic accommodations because of disabilities, they offer Byland's orthophonics gratuites.
Wait, free speech therapy assessments?
Yes, free speech therapy assessments. That's a very specific and often expensive service. Offering that free feller really underscores their commitment to accessibility.
That is genuinely surprising and incredibly valuable. What was the other one?
The other was something called the Cultural Care Program de soins culturels. They actually connect well-being initiatives with arts and culture. Think santé, musique, musées, photo, using museums, music, photography as part of student wellness.
Huh. Prescribing a museum visit for mental health, that's different.
It is different, and I think the idea, reading between the lines, is maybe to combat that screen fatigue and isolation cycle we see so much.
So, like, getting students out, engaging with something else, away from study stress.
Exactly. It's about managing the environment, maybe offering a different kind of outlet, not just clinical treatment, a structured diversion, if you will.
Interesting. Okay, and before we move on, let's touch on sexual health again. The sources made a point about confidentiality.
Yeah, very explicitly. They covered the full range: gynecology, sexology, all contraception methods like the pill, implant, IUD. But the emphasis was on confidential follow-up.
Which is paramount, right?
Yeah.
Students won't use services they don't trust, especially for sensitive issues.
Absolutely. Doesn't matter how good the service is, if trust isn't there, that confidentiality guarantee is non-negotiable.
Okay, that sets the stage well, because now, moving into the next section, the sources really lay out why all this is so necessary. What are the common challenges, the vulnerabilities they're seeing?
They highlight three main areas. First, situations of major personal disruption. Things like family breakups or serious personal crises. Stuff that just knocks you off your feet.
Understandable. That makes focusing on studies almost impossible.
Totally. The second big one is adaptation difficulties, especially for those primo arrivants, the new arrivals, different country, maybe different language, different academic culture. It's a lot.
Yeah, the stress must be immense.
For sure. And the third focus is on disability, ensuring courses and materials are genuinely accessible and making sure everyone can actually participate fully.
So you've got personal crises, adaptation stress, accessibility barriers, layer academic pressure on top of that, and the psychological risks become pretty clear. The sources flagged appeasement, exhaustion, and burnout.
Right. Exhaustion, burnout, and they specifically mentioned an imbalance related to sleep and, interestingly, screen time, that digital overload.
And they don't just name burnout, do they? I saw something about a cycle.
Yes, and this is quite insightful. They break down this épuisement, this exhaustion, into a 4-stage cycle, which is useful because defining stages gives you potential intervention points.
Okay, walk us through that cycle. What are the stages?
Stage 1 is initial stress, standard academic deadlines, maybe some personal worries, normal student life, basically.
Manageable, usually.
Then comes stage 2, overload. This is where tasks pile up, fatigue really sets in, and you start feeling like you're just constantly behind, running on fumes.
I can see that. That feels like a critical point.
It really is. Because if things aren't addressed there, you can slide into stage 3, exhaustion. Real deep exhaustion. Loss of energy, motivation tanks. It's beyond just tired, it's depletion.
Right. That's when things get serious.
And potentially leads to stage 4, impact on health. This is where the exhaustion manifests physically or psychologically. It might be severe anxiety, depression, physical illness, maybe even leading to dropping out.
Wow. Seeing it laid out like that, it really clarifies how burnout develops. And having that framework must help the health service target their support.
Right, absolutely. You can aim preventive stuff, like that health interview at stage 1 or 2, and more intensive clinical support is ready for stages 3 and 4. It makes the response more strategic.
It turns burnout from this vague cloud into something, well, diagnosable and treatable. Okay, so we know the what and the why. Let's get practical. Section 3, access. How does a student actually use these services? What's step 1?
They've really leaned into technology for convenience. The main route, especially for a first consultation, is online booking via Doctolib.
Doctolib, like the platform lots of doctors use in France.
Exactly. So students can book medical or psychological appointments online, pick their time slot, manage follow-ups, all from their phone or computer. It basically removes the friction of having to call or visit in person just to get started.
Super streamlined. But what if you can't use the portal or it's more urgent?
Good question. There's always the direct phone line for questions or urgent matters, and they provide an email address too, ssa@sorbonne-université.fr for less immediate queries.
Okay.
Oh, and they also mention an external resource, santepsijeunes.fr, for additional youth mental health support.
Good to know. Now, locations. For students who need or want to go in person, where do they head? What's the main hub?
The main health service address is 15 Rue de l'École de Médecine. That's in the 6th arrondissement in Paris, right near the Odeon metro stop. Pretty central.
And the hours there?
Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., which are pretty generous hours covering the whole day.
That's great. But Sorbonne is massive, spread across different sites. Are all services just at that one location? That could be tough for students based elsewhere.
Right, they anticipated that. While the main medical hub is there, the psychological consultations are specifically distributed across multiple campuses. Smart move.
Ah, okay. Where else can students find psychological support?
They have a presence on Campus Jussieu in Tour 55, and importantly, they note this location is fully accessible for students with reduced mobility.
Excellent. Tying back to that accessibility focus. Any other locations?
Yep. They're also at the Pôle Santé Clignancourt from Wednesday to Friday, and at the main Sorbonne building itself on Mondays and Tuesdays.
So they've really tried to ensure their support reasonably close, no matter which campus you're primarily on.
Seems like it. It reduces that travel barrier significantly for mental health access.
Okay, one last logistical detail. Those daily walk-in nursing services we talked about earlier, where exactly are those located?
Those are specifically at Campus Jussieu, also in Tour 55, but on the level Jussieu. And they even provide a direct number for that specific nursing station, 01-44-27-3011.
Perfect. Having that level of specific actionable info is what makes a system usable for students.
Absolutely. Details matter.
So wrapping this up, what we're seeing here is, well, it's more than just a clinic. It's this integrated safety net, isn't it?
Yeah.
Proactive, confidential, covering everything from basic medical needs to specialized assessments like speech therapy, and even using culture for well-being.
It really is tailored to the unique pressures of student life. It tries to anticipate needs, not just react to crises.
Feels like a model that recognizes health isn't separate from learning, but essential to it.
Completely. The emphasis on prevention, the sustained psychological follow-up, it's impressive. And it leads to maybe one final thought to leave you with.
Okay.
Well, the sources strongly emphasize preventive care and the challenge of adaptation for new students, right? And they mention things like Moments Zen collective spaces for discussion and exchange. So it makes you wonder, how might providing those kinds of communal support spaces fundamentally change that feeling of isolation that often fuels the stress cycle?
Moving beyond just individual treatment to building community resilience.
Exactly. Maybe the ultimate goal isn't just fixing individual problems, but fostering a whole supportive environment. Something to think about.
A great point to ponder. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Sorbonne's approach to student well-being. We'll see you next time.